Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jambros, and this is the second video in my Phase 5 loot guide series, this time featuring combat rogues. Phase 5 and Sunwell Plateau is coming up, and hopefully these videos give you a good idea on how to gear your class and what items you should be aiming for. Let's get into the different parameters I used for the Phase 5 release. Still using Simonize's TBC Rogue spreadsheet, an excellent resource that I would highly recommend. All appropriate raid, party, and personal buffs and debuffs will be applied here. This is purely single target. These sims are done against a high armor boss, but with the prevalence of armor pen in this tier, low armor boss gear sets will be explained as well. Since a large majority of the bosses in Sunwell are demon, I went ahead and simmed these with demon slaying. Sims will use complete gear set, and they don't just sim individual items. When swapping pieces for testing, other item slots may be changed to keep a maximum DPS output. For example, changing gems for hit rating, or another piece to keep a 2 or 4 piece bonus. All sims use full bisque gear for phase 5 and compare the best in the slot to the next best items in that slot. While the default sim is a 7700 armored demon, for instance, Brutalis and Muru, who are the only two like that in Sunwell, the rest are 6200 armor, and gearing differences will be explained. The talent spec here is a pretty typical improved exposed armor swords build. And here's what you'll be looking at when you're full phase 5 best in slot. We'll start out with the Helm slot. There's only one real option here, and it's the Duplicitous Guise from Kil'jaeden. This is a 39 DPS upgrade over the previously best in slot Cursed Vision of Sargeras. People are pretty excited about the new engineering goggles upgrade as well. These are a good item, but technically fall behind the tier 6 helm. This is a little deceptive, as the helm would be simmed as the 4th tier piece along with the new bracers, boots, and belt, replacing your previous 4th piece with a better item. There are definitely situations where the NG goggles may be an upgrade while gearing up, as long as you maintain your tier 6 set bonuses on other pieces. If you're a jewel crafter, the crafted neck is far and away your best option in the slot. It is bind on pickup, but the pattern drops off of Sunwell Trash, and should be relatively easy to obtain. If you're not a jewel crafter, the next best item is the Clutch of Demise off Brutalis, about 21 DPS behind the Hardcore Choker. It is, however, a few DPS better than the previous Phase 4 Abyss, the Choker of Endless Nightmares. I didn't list the Shattered Sun Offensive Reputation necklace here. It's straight up worse than the Endless Nightmares neck for Rogue, no matter if you are Alder or Scryer. The tier 6 shoulders are a rare main piece holdover from phase 4. These are main your best in slot for the rest of the game, although they are technically not the best individual piece. The best actual piece for shoulders are the shoulder pads of Behemoths, but one of these main set pieces are needed to maintain the 4-piece tier bonus, and the shoulders are the best slot to do it in. The Demon 2 shoulder pads are significantly worse for rogues, and actually require the Vehement shoulders to drop anyway, so they should never really be considered. I barely believed these numbers for the cloaks either, but believe it or not, it is real. There's only one new cloak in phase 5, and it is somehow more than 40 DPS better than the previously best Shadow Moon Destroyer Strape. A very high number in a slot with such a small stat budget. You really only have one option for a chest upgrade unless you're a leatherworker, in which case you have two. Any other options, for example new pieces with Badges of Justice, can't really compete with what's listed here. The Bladed Chaos Tunic is 45 DPS ahead of the tier 6 chest, but only a few DPS ahead of the Carapace of Sun and Shadow, which is the bind on pickup leatherworking craft. This should be a fairly in-demand item, so crafting this for an immediately very large upgrade would be pretty prudent. For the first of the new tier pieces, this is another uncontested huge upgrade. This Bracer token is a 57.9 DPS upgrade over the Insidious Bracers, a very clear-cut upgrade, and gives you more flexibility with your other tier pieces to keep your set bonuses. The gloves should be one of the easiest upgrade slots, even if sun motes are likely to be very expensive on release. The Gloves of Immortal Dusk are a leatherworking craft, but these are bind and equip instead of pickup, so they can be made for you by somebody else. The tier 6 gloves ahead of the Muru gloves again is a bit deceptive, as here it is used as the 4th piece for set bonuses. The Shadowed gloves could potentially be useful in a small number of gearing cases if nobody else wants them. Regardless, using the tier 6 glove as the 4th piece is the best option if you are not using the tier 6 shoulders. For the second of the new 3 tier pieces, the belt features a hilariously large gap between it and the previously best in slot since phase 2 belt of 100 deaths, almost 80 DPS. What I would like to note here is that there is a new third option that approaches the usefulness of 100 deaths if you haven't gotten your new token yet and never got the Vash belt. The Belt of the Silent Path is new in phase 5 and nowhere close to overall Abyss, but if you have 75 badges to spare, it could prove to be a nice temporary upgrade. For the leg slot of all items available in all of Sunwell, the leggings of the Immortal Knight are probably the single most important for rogues. Nothing comes even close and offers an increase in DPS that would be normally only come from significant weapon upgrades. Using the tier 6 legs here is really not recommended, as you should probably be the first set piece to be replaced once you've acquired one of the 3 new tokens. The trousers of the Scryer's Retainer can be purchased for 100 badges as a temporary upgrade if you haven't received Immortal Knight yet. Okay, maybe I lied. The new tier boots token may be more important. These should at least be a little more common, but more than 100 DPS increase over the Shadowmaster's boots. Besides having absolutely incredible stats, this probably comes from the great value of expertise on a rogue with very good weapon, probably glaives, or even if you have Muramasa, very good item. I've assembled a small chart here for your different ring combinations. While the Stormrage Signet Ring and the new Band of Ruinous Delight are tops, the Hardcorian Band here is a very respectable third, and it's a crafted BOE. The Sunboats may start off pricey, but otherwise this ring should be pretty easy to obtain. Angelisa's Revenge is another newly available item in Phase 5, actually bought for 60 badges. And here are some of the trinket options available. This chart may be a little difficult to understand as there are different situations in which different trinkets may be better. Without a doubt, the Blackened Naru Sliver and Dragonspine Trophy are your best 2 trinkets, but after that it starts to get a little murky. Warp Spring Coil starts to lose value once you have over 700 passive armor pen. I'll cover that more in depth in a bit. Shard of Contempt, the new trinket from Magister Terrace, is simmed here, overcapped on expertise, making it worse than the rest. It is very easy to overcap expertise with this. A human rogue will cap from solely using this trinket and no other expertise gear. If that's the case, it still comes up slightly behind Warp Spring Coil, but ahead of Madness of the Betrayer. A non-human rogue will get a little more leeway using maybe one other piece of expertise gear. It is not recommended to use this if you have either the Slayer's Boots or Belt of 100 Deaths. What if I didn't put on this chart was Berserker's Call. But for those that are curious, it comes up behind all of these if Shard doesn't overcap you, but ahead of Shard if it does. There is a world where Berserker's Call could be your best choice paired with DST if you are very geared, have lots of armor pen and expertise on your gear, and have never picked up Madness and you haven't gotten Sliver yet. There are actually lots of options in the range slot for rogues. Technically, your overall abyss is Thoradol, but that's more of a funny meme, and your hunters will murder you. The Golden Bow of Quel'Tha Loss is your actual best in slot, and even then, your hunters will probably want to take that ahead of you as well. There are a couple other upgrades from your Arcanite Steam Pistol, both about equal. The Crossbow of Relentless Strikes costs a whopping 150 badges, but is easy to obtain if you have plenty of them. The Blade of Life's Inevitability drops off of trash in Sunwell, so it shouldn't be terribly difficult to obtain either, and won't cost you any badges. If you're wondering about the Ancient Amani Longbow from ZA, it measures up just below the Steam Pistol by a couple DPS in this list. It should come to no one's surprise that a Warglaive is your best main hand weapon. However, not everybody can get their hands on glaives, so here are your next best options. Don't be surprised by these high numbers. They include dropping the Warglaive set bonus, but the order is the same. Here's the numbers adjusted without the glaive set bonus. For a human rogue, Muramasa is your next best weapon, with the Season 4 Arena Sword not too far behind. All these, plus the Hand of the Deceiver, which you would have to adjust your spec for, are significant upgrades over the Season 3 Arena Sword. If you're not a human, this list gets moved around a bit. Hand of the Deceiver actually overtakes your other 2 options if you don't own a Warglaive. Your Enhancement Shaman won't be too thrilled about this, but it is a significant upgrade over Muramasa. Same case in the offhand. Warglaive is best, and the set bonus is a ridiculously big number to lose. Here are the adjusted numbers. Blade of Savagery from Black Temple actually sticks around as your next best option. That 1.4 speed really helps. All your other options are 1.5 speed. The only raid drop, the Dragon Scale Encrusted Longblade, is better than the Season 3 sword, but worse than the Season 4 one, although not by much. I really hope you haven't had such terrible luck not to have gotten Blade of Savagery. It's very much a rogue weapon, and Black Temple will have been out for a while once Sunwell releases. But what if I'm not human? Well, Savagery is still next best, but the Sunwell raid drop, the Dragon Scale Encrusted Longblade, ends up being a little better than the Season 4 sword. Hope it doesn't come to that. Maybe you've noticed all this new armor pen gear in Sunwell and you've thought, should I be using a new weapon enchant, or do I accidentally have too much and I'm overcapping the boss? This can be a pretty complicated question for some classes, but not so much for Rogue. For bosses with 7700 armor, which in Sunwell are just Brutalis and Muru himself, but not his ads, Executioner is a very slight DPS increase, and I mean like about 8 DPS. I very much recommend to keep Mongoose on both weapons at all times. A Rogue in full Sunwell best in slot will have 1312 total armor pen, which is still 400 armor pen short of capping against low armor bosses without the Executioner enchant. That means the only thing that can overcap you are effects like that of Warp Spring Coil. It has a huge 1000 armor pen proc and can easily overcap you, meaning this trinket starts to lose value at 700 armor pen. But other previously worse trinkets start to equal its value at around 1000 armor pen. At that point, you'll likely want to switch to another trinket alternative if you haven't already. And that's it. This includes my second Phase 5 video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Please like, subscribe, and help support my channel. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments, or come watch me on Twitch and ask me there. Thanks.